Hey everyone, and welcome to Open Mic. Another night, another group of people. Tonight we have a huge group of people. So,
We
this,
do.
yeah, we're four, which is awesome. I'm your host, Ramsey Chiri. I'm a psychic medium. I also do neurolinguistic programming. I specialize in money blocks, and I'm tonight actually hosting you from the land of fairies and dragons from the UK. It's beautiful midnight, so I haven't turned into a fairy yet. Maybe later on. My co-host Tanis, without any intro, go ahead.
Janice Coughlin from the Twillow Lifestyle community, Twillow Lifestyle Academy. And I'm a Reiki master, Celtic shamanic high priestess, crystal master. I do stuff.
And we have our rest of the Twillow Academy colleagues. Jennifer.
Hi, all. I'm Jennifer Jerkowski, and of course, you can find me on Twillow Lifestyle. You can also find me at My Holistic Self or myholisticselfcounseling.com. I am a registered psychotherapist, a certified Canadian counselor, an intuitive life coach. I'm a Reiki master and do all kinds of the energy stuff there with Tanis, an ordained minister, Sufia Kahina, just spiritual alchemist, I guess, is a good
Yep.
a good term for it.
It's a
I do
melange of stuff. Yeah,
I do stuff.
awesome. Welcome to our show, Jen.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks for coming.
And we also have Gary with us tonight. Gary, go ahead.
I'm going to sound a lot like Jen. I have a master's in counseling and am an intuitive life coach and a Reiki master, almost an animal Reiki master. Been working towards that, and do Nakti and Aqualite and some other energy work. So I've kind of been at this for a while. Oh gosh, I started my intuitive life coaching things in 1993 and 94. We won't say exactly how old I am. And you can find me at garychatham.com and also on Twillow Lifestyle with all these other great people.
Well, if it starts with 19, I say a while back.
A while back, exactly.
Welcome all. Tonight is actually a recap of the whole week of the Twillow Empath week. It was an awesome week. I had a lot of feedback from a lot of listeners. Of course, except for those little mishaps that we had this week. I guess the energies were off. Uh, but tonight I do have internet, and I'm not standing in the cold, and Jen's not in her car.
Hey,
We're adaptable. We just adapted with everything. That's
Yes.
what we do. We wanted to bring the best that we could bring to you, so we adapted to our barriers.
Go with the flow.
Yeah. So usually these holidays, this is exactly what happened to us during the holidays, during family events, friends events, is that things don't go usually as planned. And we end up in a situation where we're frustrated, unhappy, or something like that. And we tried this week to give you a lot of tips and a lot of tips, which were phenomenal. And I know today Jacqueline did the money tips, which was really good. I was on it and and texting without even reading my sentences. They were missing a lot of words, but they were awesome.
The messages came through. They were full of love. We appreciate
Yes.
it.
So I thought, as a group all together, we can share our experiences and see how we can help our community to pass through these times. Well, they're a bit tough times usually during the holidays, especially these days. Also, with a lot of things that are going on financially around the globe and all the other beautiful stuff. So I'll pass on the mic to Tanis. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, from my perspective, we've had, it's been such an interesting up and down in energies for a number of months. For the transits and stuff, I think Jen will agree. We're going into some easier transits. There's a couple of days at the end of the month where we're going to be needing to sort of take care. And the biggest thing is to make sure that you're doing your self-care. So make sure that you're taking the time for you, because we get caught up in the expectations of others, and know that it's okay to say no, right? If you're really not feeling okay with doing something, it's okay to say no. And, that's one thing that COVID kind of helped us do, right? Was know that, we stayed home, but we're all still here. We're still friends. Like, you can say no. You can stay home if you're not feeling up to it, right? So just know that you can do that, and that self-care is key. Take time out to do that contemplation, because there's a lot of transition right now. And the transition is all for the better, but when we're going through transition like this, it can be unsettling, to say the least. So, yeah. So just lots of self-care over the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that, because you mentioned the transits, I just want to jump in, because we're coming to the end of Sun being in the 9th gate right now, which is that moving from inertia to invincibility, right? Being able to really come through the chaos. But I think it is important to note that as of tomorrow, until, let me just look at the calendar, until next Friday, so a week from now, we're actually going to be moving into the 5th gate. And what's really important here, and this is so important as we head into the holidays, because it's about patterns. It's the gate of rhythm. And what this says is that, we need to maintain our routines. And so with the holidays coming, with, holiday parties at work, and with wanting to get the shopping in and wanting to do all of these other things, if you're feeling a resistance to that, it's what's in the transits for the next week. Okay. So they're going to show up, and you're going to feel this want for your routine. Okay. And you're going to feel this need to, to find security in it and to come back to it. And that's okay. So just understand that when those things are coming up for you, it really is what's going on in the transit right now. So that resistance piece is part of what's happening in the universe. So if you can just look at it and go, okay, yeah, I know I need to have my routine. I'm going to honor that as best I can. When those moments come up where I can't be in my routine, that's okay. I'm going to have patience and compassion with myself and just process through. Use the tools that we did all week, talking about how do you take a break? How do you step out? How do you bring love home to yourself in those moments? Take those breaths. Let them out, right? As Jackie does, the breathe in, shoulders back.
Shoulders back.
Right? And allow yourself, to recognize and find your rhythm, even in things that maybe are a little bit different.
I think it's important to note that the transits that Jen is dealing with is the human design transits. They're slightly different than what you might find in astrology, but I think probably the underlying essence of it all is similar, just a slightly different language than what you might think in astrology.
I think this time too, everybody's so focused on what's going on outside of themselves. We got to do this, we got to go here, and I got to do this for this person, blah, blah, blah. And just like everybody said all week, is taking time for yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes, if it's just a few minutes, if you have Reiki, doing Reiki on yourself, but not getting caught up in the anxiety, but the, what am I trying to say? The feeling obligated, which takes you out of being present with yourself then, of that obligation. And it kind of can become a codependent thing where I've got to do this, I got to do this, people are depending on me, got to do this, where you're not going to do those things well and be there for your family and friends if you're not taking care of yourself. So that's number one. And we talked about too, the shift that I see happening with us empaths and highly sensitive people is we're becoming aware of our calling to do some kind of healing work. And so honoring that and going through your own healing process, and the holidays apply to that too, of keeping your own healing going is even more important now. So realizing there's a reason for that sensitivity gift.
Yeah, it's very important to reconnect with yourself. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we tend to lose ourselves with everything that is happening. It's like there's a raging river outside, and all we're looking at is how are we going to jump in and get to the other side of the river. But the reality is we don't need to do any of that. All we need to do is reconnect with ourselves, ground ourselves. Like you said, take 5 minutes for yourself. Take a salt bath. Read a book. Do a chair yoga. Call a friend to help you do an energy healing on yourself. We all help each other with these energy healings during times, because we all pass through that. It's not something that is unique to your situation. It's actually a global issue that is happening. And go, Jen, you want to say something? Sorry.
No.
Oh, because I tend to lose myself when talking, because I was listening to the news before. I was waiting for, because over here it's actually midnight right now. So I was listening to the news, and this made it to the news over here in the UK. There's a grandmother who asked her kids and their grandkids to all chip in and pay £2.50 for Christmas dinner. And I go, oh my God, that is amazing. Like, she didn't have to feel the obligation of providing during the Christmas for the Christmas dinner, and everything is being expensive, and I'm sure she's on a limited budget. So she got out of her shell, out of her egoistic self, and said, "Listen, guys, I need help. Can you help me?" And that story actually hit me so hard, and I thought, like, I have to share it on this show tonight. Is that we need to open up. We need to ask. Okay, it's not wrong, and there's nothing wrong with us if we do ask for help. Okay, because at the end of the day, it is not one person that wins the war. It is the whole truth. You know, I want to move from that. Okay, I'll reword it. The team doesn't score a goal in a football match, the regular football, not the American. In a football match, there's everything happening right now over here. In a football match, it's the group effort that makes it. It's the group effort that makes them win the match. It's not only it's not one person on his own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love
the
that,
team.
Randy. I want to jump in for a sec, just because as you were talking about the whole like family thing, it reminded me, and this is something that my family did for years and years with my grandmom, and I loved it, and so, you know, going through university I have, you know, a big family with all different levels of means and all of that, and so the expectation around Christmas could often be really hard for some and really easy for others. And it makes it, you know, those dynamics very complicated. And so what we would do every year is we would all anonymously put money into a pot. And then that money would be evenly split up amongst the entire family. And then we would all pick a person in the family, and we would use that to buy a gift so that everybody had the same kind of means that they were using. They all contributed to it as much as they were able to. And, you know, it was such a beautiful thing, because nobody felt like, you know, oh, I can't contribute or I can't be part of. And I just, what you were saying about the, you know, everybody contributing to the meal, kind of just, it brought me back. And I just, yeah.
What a beautiful practice. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing about the holidays. The holidays is not about massive decorations and big presents and overeating to the point of death, which we all tend to do, including myself. But it's about getting together and sharing, and the sharing that matters. It's not the overdoing and who can do more than the other one. And I love your tradition, Jen. It's awesome.
It is. It's beautiful.
And realizing that we're not facing things alone, and we're supported with people here, but we're also supported with help from the other side. So I heard that real clearly for me tonight that I'm sure it was my dad. I'm not positive, but I feel that way. And he said, Gary, you're not alone. You're supported.
Mhm.
And sometimes when they say things, the ideas kind of run together. So you're not alone, supported. I mean, just kind of like that. But that's what I needed to hear. And knowing that the different things that I'm going through right now, that there's help. So just like we were saying before, ask for help. We're not facing, if it's your shopping time or bigger issues, that you're not facing those alone.
And the guides can't like jump in and help if we don't ask them, right? Because we have free will. So the more we can, sit down in contemplation and say, guys, like, help me out, right? We need some help here. Then they can actually come in and help, which is great.
You're absolutely right. I was giving a reading to somebody yesterday, and the same thing came in, is that I am here if you need me. It's not because you would need me. It's just, if you need me, call on me. I'm right around the corner. I'm right behind you. So
Often.
Right.
just say the word, and I'm there to help you in whatever way possible. And yes, we should always call on them. They're there. But like I said, free will, we need to ask.
Right.
So from your experiences, other than the sharing and the giving, what else should we give our listeners tonight that would help them through I'm not going to call it hard times, because it's not a hard time. It is hard because we perceive it to be hard, and we put so much stress on ourselves that drives us to despise the holidays at one point in time until they finish. And then when they finish, it's like, oh my God, thank God I have to go back to my routine, go to work, go to the gym, or lose 50 pounds. That would be my case. But let's go around and see what tips and tricks should we give them to help them out during this month. And also, as empath, we all pick up on a lot of people, including the people that are not around us. So if you think you're in an environment where you're picking on these people around you, think again, because it could be from somewhere else, coming from your relatives, from your friends that are outside the circle that you are within at that point of time.
Yeah, you can even pick up the collective, right? The collective can be huge at this time of year, and we've got so much going on in the world right now, in so many different areas, that the collective, it starts to become overwhelming just with the collective energies. And it's not, it's emotional for us, but Jen and I have had many conversations about this, how it's okay to have the emotions, it's energy, and we just need to let it flow through. It's when we try and stop it that we start to have that resistance and that difficult kind of angst with it. But the collective can be super strong. I mean, I have a short story I can tell. That's when we had a year or so ago, when Facebook and Instagram went down, and before it happened, I was just finishing up a meeting, and I was getting ready for a client. All of a sudden, this wave of like panic hit me, and I'm like, okay, I don't know why I'm panicking. Like, there's nothing going on. Why am I like, because I wasn't on the internet at the time. I had no idea. And I all of a sudden realized that, okay, this isn't mine, right? I had to do some tubing. So that's one thing that I would like to give as a hint, is to do some energetic tubing. So once I did some tubing and realized I needed to breathe through it, I calmed down, and I later found out that it happened right at the moment when Facebook and Instagram went down. So there was a mass panic in the collective about, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with no Facebook? So, so just to be aware that it may not be yours. And if you do some tubing, there's one that we all like to do. And it's basically, you just feel into your energy, and you just repeat Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, and Archangel Raphael. If it's appropriate, for as long as it's appropriate, please tube me. And then they bring a big tube of light down around you, and it just transmutes any energy that may be coming your way that has nothing to do with you. We don't need to take responsibility for other people's stuff, just our own. So that's a big hint I would like to pass on. Certainly from my experience, it's been very helpful. And I do it every time before I go out.
Good tip.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what is yours and what is not yours, just like Tanis said, is a big piece. And taking a mindfulness moment of saying, ooh, I feel that, but not necessarily taking it in as mine and saying, is that mine? Where is that coming from? Oh, no, I'm getting that from all these people in hyper mode doing whatever they're doing, running around. So when you can find little bits of peace in different situations. So I just ran up to the grocery store just now for 2 things and ran back, and there's lots of activity and lots of stuff. And there are little kids pushing their little tiny shopping carts around and helping their parents that were so cute. And then, you know, we had laughs, some of the other shoppers and I, like one little girl just about ran over some other people because she's trying to keep up with her dad. Where you can find peace in that situation. So take a moment. You don't have to take it in as yours, but look at the other things that are happening and say, oh yeah, there's beauty and peace, even though there's all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
Also, bringing your focus inward can help. I don't like shopping centers because I find them extremely painful. What I notice, I'll be very honest with you, I've been around here in south of the UK, south of London for the past week, and the energy is totally different over there. People are not stressed out. I haven't felt it yet. I went to supermarkets. I went to Brighton. Everybody's happy. They're walking. They're shopping. They're doing stuff. I was doing the same thing, and I go, "Oh, I like that. The feel was good." Their energy is not one of, at least at the moment now, when I was around, it's not a let's rush and get everything because we're stressed and we have a deadline to meet. You know, it was one of like, oh, okay, if I don't do it today, I'll do it tomorrow, type of thing. So it allows the energy to flow, and everybody is riding it in such a comfort passion, you know, and moving along with everything. There are tons of people everywhere. You don't feel that because everybody is doing the same thing. They're not in a rush. And sorry, can you hear me now? I don't hear.
The quality is kind of up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it all depends on my my internet connection. I do apologize. I'm in a better place, but than the other day, but still.
It's a little better when you lean forward, Ramsey.
Yeah, I'll
it's
get
a little
closer,
better.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Sorry. So,
Yeah.
Jen, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you wanted to, if you were still going. You know, I loved what you guys said, and I was reminded of, you know, the quote, "Believe nothing that you hear and half of what you see." Right? I think it's Edgar Allan Poe. But anyway, the idea behind it, right, is that, you know, if I was to give you know, any advice around the holiday, is let go of expectation.
Yes.
You know, and we get into this place where, you know, we think that things have to be a certain way. We have to show up a certain way. Others have to show up a certain way. You know, people in the stores are going to be this way or they're going to be that way. But if we were able to let go of expectation, we would be free to experience more authentically. Right. And so, you know, with that too, I think about this idea of we see and we experience what we look for. Right. And so I'm not talking about, you know, the power of now and manifesting things in that sense, but what is in our focus, what we think about, and what we are constantly, you know, ruminating on or, you know, looking for is what we will find. And so, if we're constantly going into a situation going, oh no, this is going to be horrible, we will experience everything horrible about it, right? But if we go into it and we just go, okay, let's see what happens, we're going to be okay, right? There's not a letdown if it's not great and the expectation was high. There's not self-fulfilling prophecy if the expectation was low. But if we can just go into it, I love open and curious. That's a mantra that I use often with clients. And if we can maintain that, then we're going to be in the right place to be able to do, as Gary said, is it mine? Is it somebody else's? As Tana said, is it the collective? Right? And we'll be in a better position to know that if we're able to just stay open and curious through the holidays and let go of expectation.
Yeah, absolutely right. Go ahead, Tanis.
Yeah, we have this need, especially as empaths, actually. We want everything to be perfect, because if everybody's happy around us, we feel good. So let's make everything just perfect so that everybody's happy. But by doing that, we actually put ourselves in a position where we're hurting ourselves, because we're expecting everybody else to do what they need to do, because we're trying to control everything. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in that sense, right? We're trying to control everything so that everybody's happy, but then it doesn't go the way we want it, so we're not happy, and so neither of those is ideal, right? So really sort of letting go and allowing things to flow as they're going to flow, and just laugh, and just like we did with this week with all of our tech stuff, just allow things to go and be like, hey, here's what's happening. Because we are human. All of us are human, and we are perfectly imperfect. That is the natural state of being. So if we can accept ourselves as perfectly imperfect, that's one of my mantras. I'm perfectly imperfect, and I'm a work in progress, and I'm okay with that. So if we can go with that, it just makes everything else flow better and not feel as heavy energetically. Because then we're not saying, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I wish they could have done that, or that didn't go the way. Because those things are just negative thoughts, and those just bring the vibration down. Every negative thought brings our vibration down by 12 megahertz, right? Positives bring it up by 10. So we need to have more positive than negative.
And kitty energy helps too.
It does. This is Rob's. She's our little mascot. She's often on our Twillow Talk, and with Jen's clients. She's
she's a staple.
She even has her own webpage.
She actually does. Yes.
Mine's over here sleeping, but he's out.
So when we talk about tools for grounding, if you have animals, if you are an animal lover, animals can be amazingly grounding.
Absolutely. And if you're at your relatives and they have one, play with the dog, play with the cat.
Right. Get some space and play with the pet. Yeah. And Tanis and I talked about last night, my days all run together, it was last night, that how we can get triggered into old family patterns and old family roles, which you may have talked about too, Jen. I didn't hear everything you guys said. But so being conscious of that before you go in, and saying, I don't have to jump into those roles. I don't have to respond to Uncle Fred the way Uncle Fred usually wants me to respond to him. And taking a second, giving yourself Reiki before you go, if you've been attuned to Reiki, and giving yourself Reiki even in the moment. Now, at least taking a minute and saying, oh, this is what always happens with Uncle Fred. He tries to make me be the scapegoat, or he tries to say something demeaning, which is supposed to be funny or whatever it is. And then we can respond differently, choose to respond differently, or take a bathroom break. Tanis and I were laughing the other night. Just take a few minutes in the bathroom, re-ground yourself, and then choose to go back out and interact with that person differently.
Well, actually, Jen had an amazing tip for that. Amazing tip. Glass of cold water.
Yeah.
When you go ahead, Jen, I'm not gonna Take it
Oh
away.
yeah, no, that's yeah. So because in the mental health field, I work a lot with dissociation and things like that, and so ice is a very easy kind of trigger way to bring somebody back if they're dissociating. And it's the same thing when it comes to grounding, because cold can really ground us. And so, somebody had asked about, what if I'm, walking around or whatever, and I'm with people who aren't, grounded and all, what do I do? And carrying a cold drink can really help keep you grounded because you're constantly connected to that cold, right? And it's also really great because you can use it as I got to go refill my cup, I'll be right back, if you need to get away.
Take a moment.
So it serves several purposes. But in doing that, if you're really feeling like, okay, things are getting really tough, you can change the hand that your cup is in and just, whew, okay, I'm all right, and bring it back. And it's ways of managing it that people aren't going to be like, what on earth is going on with this person, right? You're not doing some of the other techniques that we talked about where we're doing the grounding or we're blowing out the venom or whatever it is that, people might look at you like, what on earth is that? Right? But holding a cup of water, hey,
Yeah.
that's no problem.
Yeah, we even said we would go and get them a glass of ice water, right? And hand it to them.
Yeah. If
Because it
somebody
takes their
else
focus away and you're giving them something. So they're like, they
Exactly.
have to do gratitude. Brings their vibe up.
That's good.
That's the squirrel thing with NLP. Squirrel, and then everybody will look and they'll forget what they were talking about, and then you continue. Anyway, so I want to say hi to Landon and Pamela. They're on. Thank you for being on with us. If you guys have any questions, please feel free. So another downer of energy during the holidays is money. Money, actually, Jacqueline had the thing an hour ago, but we'll sum up a bit of what she said. Money is an energy in itself.
Mhm.
It's an energy in itself. So what happens is that a simple way of it is that we exert energy, and in return we get it in a piece of paper. That's very simple. So for every gram of energy that I give out, I get a gram of money back into my pocket. So when I spend it, I'm actually exerting energy. I'm giving away my time, my value. So what happens is that we overdo things because one more thing. Let's add a stocking stuffer, and let's do this and let's do that. Go with the budget. Budget gives you a tool to help you manage your finances during the holidays. It is extremely, extremely important. It is boundaries. We talked about boundaries on personal level. This is boundaries on an energetic level. Hold your ground. You have 100. Like if I go to the casino, I don't like to go to the casino, but if I have to go, I'll take it $20 and I say, when it finishes, I'm done. So I'll put it in, and whatever it takes, 5 minutes or it take half an hour. It's finished. It's finished. I'm done with it. So I gave myself this much. And the same thing with the holidays. Put a budget. It is $50, not $50, not $50. Whatever your budget is, whatever you feel it is within your means. And it's very important within your means. So that will be your boundary. And you say, okay, this is what I'm going to spend. How many people do I have? Okay, let me divide it over the number of people. Now let me go out and see what's available for them. And from there, you manage it well. Now, of course, there's always things that pop up and you need to spend a bit more. And then you evaluate every time you find yourself at a crossroad. Okay, should I or should I not? Let me see what that will bring. Because there's always a consequence for everything. And not in a bad way, but in a not in a bad way, but in a good way. There's always a consequence for what we do. So put that plan in place and follow it. It is really important, and it's even better if you put it on a piece of paper, because just like me, what I do, I have everything in my head. I literally have everything in my head, and I literally forget everything when I need it. Can you hear me? I'm trying to. Oh no! What? It's not working.
It's quite muddled.
Okay.
That's better. There we go.
Okay. It depends on the internet connection. So, I said put it on a piece of paper because it's easier to follow. If you're like me, you put everything in your head, and then 2 seconds later, when you're at a store or a shop, you're doing something, it really you forget about it, and then you go overboard, and you lose your cool on it.
It's true.
So sorry about the connection. I guess it's not that great, but we're good. We're good. We're managing.
Somebody says, "Don't move."
Yes.
Don't move, Ramsey. Don't move. Okay,
It's just time
On
for your
point.
close-up, Ramsey.
that's it.
I'll try not to raise my head. You know, see.
It's all good.
Right. No, that's cool. Yeah, you do sound better when you're closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, on
Yeah. So
that,
the money as energy. I mean, that's something that not everybody thinks about. You know, when you're doing gifts, it doesn't have to be expensive, right? You know, when you go out and you put in the effort to find the gift that's perfect for that person, that's energy too. So it could be like a little $5 gift, but you've gone out and you've searched exactly what that person needs. That's value in your gift, right? Because it is all energy. Or you create something for them. You actually make them something. It adds value because it is the energy you put into the gift.
And a lot of people will recognize that you put that energy into it, that it's not just the money spent. So.
And Jen, you were going to say something too, I think.
yeah, a couple things that kind of came to mind. One was similar to what you were saying about the, energy and the time, but also just this idea that, where does this? I'm going to go back to expectation, right? Expectation that I have to give so much. And what is it that makes us feel like we have to go beyond our means, right? And what is the belief about self or the belief about the other that makes us push ourselves beyond the energy that we have and the capacity that we have, right? And so everything does have to come home. So what is it that you're telling yourself in these moments that is making you not follow the budget or making you push yourself beyond what you know you're able to do, right? What is this expectation you're holding of yourself that you have to show up in a way that's not true for you or not authentic? And really pay attention to that.
And that often goes down to a base fear, I think, too, right? And that, of course, that one, a big one for that is the abandonment stuff. Fear of being alone.
Fear of not being accepted or not measuring up to what other people are doing.
And now if we go back to like the empath and the highly sensitive and all of that, right?
Yeah.
The moment somebody else is even the slightest bit disappointed, what do we feel?
You feel it.
Right? The moment that the other person is afraid, what are we feeling? Right? The moment that the other person is upset, ooh, right? And this is the bigger issue when it comes to the empath pieces. Don't make it personal.
Right.
Right? That you're going to feel this stuff and it's going to come up and people are going to have their emotions because everybody has them.
Yeah.
It's not, even if it's because of something you did, it's not about you. And I know that can be really, really hard to reconcile sometimes, but it's really important, especially
I think you should say that again, Jen. I do.
Even
I think it's that important.
Yeah, even if it's in response to something that you did, it's not about you.
You have a choice whether you A, take the energy in, and B, take the responsibility, like, oh no, I'm responsible for this. And that it's not always true, just like Jen said.
Yeah. Like, let's say we're out at a dinner party, Ramsey, Gary, Tanis, and I. And Tanis says to Gary something, and it triggers me. And I go, oh, well, that wasn't really nice, Tanis. What are you saying that for? Tanis didn't do anything wrong. My trigger set me off, and I became responsive. Now, Tanis has a choice. She could go, oh I did something wrong. I made somebody upset. Now everybody's going to be mad at me. Or she can go, wow, Jen, what's going on? What can we do? Right? Because it's not her stuff. It's my stuff. But when we look at our typical dynamics, what do? We immediately go, oh no, I did something. I have to fix it. What's wrong with me?
Right.
And those things go deep. Those are deep things to reprogram. Usually right back to early childhood.
Right. That's what I was going to say, especially with family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Gary froze there.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
did we lose him? Yeah, he's frozen.
He's frozen.
Oh, here.
He's sort of there. He's a portion of himself at the moment.
He is he's in cyberspace. He'll be back.
He is. He's astral traveling. He's off somewhere.
So while Gary is gathering his energies and centering himself. Well, actually, that was awesome. But we did talk about this thing about the policeman in front of my house and how he lost his cool on me because I crossed the red light, but there was no traffic. Here he is. He's back. Hold on.
There
Here
we
he
go.
is.
Back from your travels?
Yeah, I forced it to reload. I don't know what was going on.
Well, we missed whatever wonderful tidbits of information you were sharing
Yeah, go
while
ahead,
you
repeat
froze.
No, I wasn't saying much at the time because I just saw everybody else freeze up. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, why don't you tell us your policeman story again?
Yeah, so they're doing construction around the house, and the policeman was standing all day long changing lights, and it was red for me to cross. I was pedestrian to cross the street, but there was nobody there, so I just walked. And he lost it. He started yelling at me, telling me off, whatever. And I stood there, cool as a cucumber. I swear to God, I don't know what happened to me. And I didn't hear what he was saying, but all that was going in my head, I go, oh my God, he's been standing here all day long. He's frustrated. He's hungry. His feet hurts, whatever. And I'm looking at him, and he was so yelling. And I put my hand on my heart, and I said, "You're right. I'm sorry. I should have waited." And it was all gone within a split of a second. Did my stuff came back? Somebody else crossed the red light. He didn't say anything, but he had his emotional stuff like all bundled up for me to cross, and it just like came out like a bullets. But it wasn't my fault, and that's what we were trying to say: is that go back and feel what the other person is going through, because that's where the issue is. Yeah. We tend to take it onto ourselves, and when I saw that and allowed him to release whatever was there and then apologize, and I was going to get him water, but then I said no, I can't do that. Maybe it looks like I'm bribing him or something, so I just dropped it. But I allowed him to release the tension that he was going through.
And treating him with compassion, right?
Yes.
You treated him with compassion, and that's often what people need when they're upset. Yeah. So which brings us to the question that you have here.
Yes. How do you deal with house guests that get triggered in your own home? Referring to the Tannis Jennifer scenario.
You just open the door and kick them out. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not very compassionate, Jen.
Cheers.
Totally joking. No, but I think that Ramsey's example is a perfect one for what you do in those moments, because if we can recognize that the other person, it's their pain body coming up to feed. We don't have to feed their pain body, and we sure don't have to feed our own, right? So in that moment, if we can recognize, okay, yeah, they're feeding something, some kind of pain. And if we can, as empaths, sometimes we can even feel into what that is, right? Like Ramsey was able to feel into what was going on for the police officer. If you're able to do that, wonderful, meet them where they're at. If you're not, because you're also triggered, because that happens, right?
Mhm.
Other people's triggers set us off, and we
Absolutely.
can't. In that moment, if we can go, okay, I'm feeling triggered too. I'm not feeding that pain body. It can try, but I'm not going to. Okay, what's going on? What do we need to do to make things okay?
Reaching out to the other person with compassion, just like Ramsey did.
Mhm.
Turning the tables, changing the flow of the energy.
Get them a glass of water with ice.
I love
Can I get you something?
Mhm.
Are you hungry?
Well, and water, I just want to address this, and I think you guys even talked about it before, but water does so much more than just what we were talking about. Like on a spiritual level too, water is amazing. One, it helps conduct energy in the body. So we need to have water in order to be grounded and in order to feel connected. Water helps process emotions. So in order for us to be able to feel into what's really going on for us, we have to be hydrated. We have to have that water within us. Taking a sip of water, swishing it around in the mouth really hydrates you. It also gives you a moment to collect yourself, right? Finding the pause. Okay. So on that sense, it's really important. Also, water connects to the spiritual on many levels. And it also breaks up gases and things like that that are left over from negative energies.
Yeah.
So there is a million wonderful reasons to have water with you and to bring water into a situation that is difficult.
And water is so programmable. You know, we talk
Yes.
about using crystals in water, for instance. So I do a whole class on this, using the crystals in the water for crystal elixirs. You know, you can't use all crystals in water. So I do want to say that right off the bat. Please make sure you're looking them up for safety. There are ones that are dangerous to use in water, but there are ones that are really beautiful to have in your water. So if you're going into a situation like that, putting the amethyst in your water for calming, right? The quartz-based crystals are really great. So putting amethyst in your water for calming, putting clear quartz. It's clear quartz as a crystal is very programmable. So you can sit before you go, hold the crystal in your hands, and just repeat peace, 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 or love, love, love into the crystal. And then put it in your water and carry your water bottle with you. It's a great way for you to be bringing that energy in by using the water. Or
You can do that. Oh,
give your
sorry.
bottled. It's okay. Give your water Reiki. Is that what you were going to say, Gary?
Yeah, exactly. Just like Tana said, the water is programmable. So if you've been attuned to Reiki, you can do that. And then you're getting some Reiki every time you take the sip. Or just holding it, like Tana said, with the crystal and saying, love, 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 peace, peace, peace. Yeah, because it holds, it's a blank slate.
Mhm.
And then every time you take that sip, if that crystal's in there, you hear the jingle, love, right? That's what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Right.
If all fails, gin. Gin.
All else fails, drink. Yeah. But then you need even more water.
Hmm.
You're
Yep.
thinking
May not be a good
water.
choice for everybody.
Yeah, it's not a good choice for everybody. So, you know, water,
no.
everybody needs it. We're like 85% water. So drink your water.
Actually, please, this was a joke, because what alcohol does, it just lowers your reaction time, but it does not remove the soft spot that you have. It doesn't release the energy that you have. And what happened with it compiles more negative energy over time, because you're not even able to express in a proper way what you needed to express. So you hold it in more and more, so it becomes even stronger, your reactions. So gin is good on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, but it's not good for situations like this. Usually during the holidays, we should as much as possible, be sober, to be able to socialize and feel with other people and have that joy within the group. Okay, because that's what makes it. It's not what we have or what we're making. Is just that connection that we all crave and we all wanted during the holidays. So I remove my gin out. No commercial break.
Just moderation, everybody, moderation. Absolutely, because I think it's the authentic connection that is what the holidays are about, right?
Absolutely,
Having
yes.
that connection. So when we're not able to connect in the same way, for whatever reason, because we're holding on to too much emotion, too many triggers, or we have other things happening, like gin. You don't get that connection, and that really is a basic human need, is to have that connection.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love Rumi's quote, exhale only love. And I actually used to have it, like I would, use henna and stuff, and I had it on my arm for a long time. And in that, people are going to come and they're going to do things, and we're not going to always have an answer, and we're not going to always know what to do. And when we get triggered, we're going to go, oh crap, here I go. I don't know how to respond to this, right? And so taking that breath in, and then actually, reminding yourself, exhale only love. Okay, now that puts me in a very different place than I was a moment ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now I have the means to maybe be able to respond well and in line with who I want to be, not with who this person has triggered me in that moment to think I am, which I'm not.
Yeah, there's something in there too about, when you, in what you're saying about what people think you are, right? We tend to want to be what everybody wants us to be as empaths. And I think it's important to make sure that we're being true to ourselves without worrying about what everybody else wants us to be. That's like one of the hardest things as an empath. But if you yourself are secure in yourself, and you can walk into a situation, know that you are happy with where you're at, right? So that takes work, of course. This is not something that we're all really good at, but if we can work towards that, you're not letting yourself down. You might be, not giving them what they expect or whatever, but at least you're not letting yourself down. And we have to live with ourselves, right? So that's an important piece too.
And the holidays can get us back in those patterns, especially with family or significant others that may be a little different, that point out places where we need deeper healing. So instead of dreading it as like, oh my God, I have to go back and deal with the family and I have to do this and this, use it as a gift to say, wow, there's something that I need deeper healing with. So I'm going to go talk to Ben, or I'm going to talk to Dennis or whoever, and help start that inner healing process so that I'm not triggered the same way the next time. You're not falling into that same energy trap. And look at how the flow of the energy is in the moment. If someone's triggering you, they're taking energy. They want you to put energy into the situation or give energy to them, which may not always be good for you. So it's kind of the fad thing now to talk about with empaths in relationships with people that are more narcissistic. I can say that in the States. So, it's that pattern of being aware of that we may have an energy sucker, energy vampire in the dynamic. And then, how are we going to deal with that? And in the moment, pause, but then also, hey, there's something for me to look at later on for deeper healing.
And that can be empowering to know that we can do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you can.
I use a lot in with clients. I use ACT, right? Acceptance and commitment therapy. And I love the pillars of it, and I won't get into all of that right now because I know we're getting close to time. But one of the things that is in there is it's called the life map, and it's 4 quadrants, and it basically looks at what is important to me, right? What is important? What are my values? What is it that I want in my experience? Right? And then what are the inner processes that move me away from that? Right? What are my triggers? What are the things that set me off, that make me move away from what's important to me? Right? And when those things come up, what do I do instead that is pushing me away from what's important? Right? So, my value might be connection, but I might have a fear of abandonment. And so instead of moving towards connection, I withdraw. And that's my action, right? And so when I recognize this pattern, I can go, okay, connection is what is important to me. And even though this is uncomfortable, I choose to move towards connection. I'm not going to withdraw. I'm going to allow myself that space and be open and curious and see what happens.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, and I just back home a while for Turkey. Thing, you notice that
So
We're not hearing you, Ramsey.
yeah, it's kind of cutting out, like
Breaking
delayed.
up.
So maybe what we'll do is just answer the question and leave
Do
that for
that.
a moment. So would cutting energy cords be beneficial after holiday events? I read different opinions about cutting cords. Some say it could cause more holes in the aura if cut or pulled. Well, I think there's the right way to do it. It's a lot better to cut them, have it cut, than it is to yank them. I mean, that's what causes grief often, is when they're yanked or ripped. Cutting the cord itself, and then you plug in to source. That's the other piece of that, right? Making sure you plug those cords back into source. I am a believer in cord cutting. I think that it does free you from that sort of energy draw that can be created when you have that connection, especially if it's not a healthy one. I think when you're cutting cords, you're always going to have the intention of only cutting the ones that are not serving you, and you won't be cutting love cords. I think that it's important to have the intention of not creating holes in the aura when you do it, and intention is everything when you're doing a lot of healing work. So that's my opinion. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm a little bit different in how I feel about the pulling part. I don't
Okay.
think, like you said, I don't think we should ever yank things
Yeah.
out, but I do think that sometimes it can be really beneficial. That cord is there. There is a deep wound with this person. I am going to pull this out gently.
Okay.
I'm going to put love and compassion into it as I pull. I'm going to heal the wound as I'm pulling it, but it's not going to leave any hooks in me. I'm not going to have anything left here. And when I take it out, I get to see, what does this hook look like? Are there many? Are there a few? Are they small? Are they large? Is there anything extra to it? Because it gives me some insight into what is coming at me and how I can then protect against that. And it doesn't ever have to rip our aura. I mean, our auras allow things in and out based on what we're open to. So I can then take that and with love, send it back.
Yeah.
Right? And say, I'm not going to accept that kind of cord from that person. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Beautiful.
so I think that there can be a lot of healing around the pulling process of cords.
Send
Again,
the other
gently though.
love and light as you send the cord back, which Jen was saying, but also then send love and Reiki to where the cord came out. Let the light heal that spot.
Yeah. And then strengthen the aura, right? After a cord cutting, doing an aura strengthening is always a good idea anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Fill yourself up again.
Yeah, always.
Because often we're drained. So I hope
And
that
I
answers.
don't know if you can hear. Can you hear me?
Some, yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You're delayed.
I was gonna
That's what it is.
say is that okay. So look at what you're drawing. The hook is all right. No problem. Could be the other side too.
So-
Do you want to put it in the chat?
Put it in the chat. Can you hear? No.
No,
That's fine.
it's like very, very delayed and in and out is what's going on.
All right. I'll leave it to the. Okay. That's fine.
So maybe what we'll do, we're at the hour. So if you'll permit me, we'll just go around the circle and our squares, our Brady Bunch squares, and and just say where we can reach each of us. Ramsey Cheedy can be gotten a hold of at ramseycheedy.net. And he's also a teacher with the Twillow Lifestyle Academy. We all are, actually. And Jen, do you want to say where you can be reached?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twillow there with Tanis and everybody else. You can also find me at myholisticself.com or myholisticselfcounseling.com. And you can find me on Facebook, and I always go, wait a minute, hold on, at Holistic Self Counseling.
Awesome. And Gary.
You can find me on Twillow, of course, and then also garychatham.com. So just like you see my name spelled on screen with the ham and the N, garychatham.com.
Awesome. Thank you. And it's been absolutely amazing having you both here. And Ramsey and I are, I'm speaking for him, Ramsey and I are totally honored that you joined us tonight on this version of Open Mic. And we're sending you all tons of love as we move into the holidays. Please reach out if there's any concerns that you have or questions. You know, we have a great group of experts, and we're really happy to help you. So with that in mind, we're sending you lots of love, and have a wonderful evening.
Have a wonderful evening. Yeah, free holiday.
Lots of love,
Thanks.
everyone.
Great.